Let's have a quick check about the business side of publication and promotion. The reason this is important is because as the world continues to change and we're dealing with the evolving market, as search trends are going down, AI trends are climbing, we're seeing a lot of different changes in the way platforms operate, we're seeing changes in the way searches are handled, we're seeing the changes in the way that products are recommended and put into the hands of people. Effectively, the next generation of the AI search is going to provide recommendations. You might like this based upon this that you've read in the past. How do we turn around and get ourselves onto that AI listing of all that cool stuff that we need to get done? This is a speculation video moving into next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. This isn't a today thing, but the trends on Amazon, the trends on Google, the trends in the AI search platforms, etc. The older platforms are slowing down as far as publishing and getting your work out, whereas the new stuff, you get yourself enrolled in the AI search platform and the AI starts recommending your stuff, and suddenly you've got a completely different conversation going on with your life forever. Because the way that the AI and the way that these search platforms work, they operate basically on a confirmation bias. I don't want to get too technical on it, but basically the longer a trend has continued, especially with the AI and especially with the search, the longer it's likely to continue. There's a greater and greater preponderance of evidence, right or wrong, that something exists. When we're getting into the publishing piece, some of the options that we're seeing in front of us now is actually the serial publishing platforms, because those are fairly large platforms, lots of authors, lots of publishers, lots of content coming out, and they have lots of traffic going to them, which means that traffic is the eyeball vote. The more eyeballs see something, the more votes of confidence for said thing. The more time people spend there, the more clicks happen, the higher the quality of that traffic is considered. When we're looking at the quality of traffic and the duration of time spent on a site, followed by a click onto the next page on that site, when you're thinking about how a story structure works, if you have a chapter that leads to the next page and the next chapter, the next page and the next chapter, the serial content from the web, it's turning into a booming concept. It's $34 billion last year, I think it was. And here, on the notes, yes, $34 billion last year. And it's a 15% yearly growth, which is just insane. That $34 billion is growing at 15% a year. That's enormous. That's $4.5 billion of things going up a year. Some of the key platforms to think about are Railroad for science fiction, Wattpad for romance and thrillers, Inkit for data-driven and feedback kind of stuff, and then Substack for newsletters and gated content, where you're basically charging to get in. As far as implementation goes for serial publishing, post 2 or 3 chapters for free on a weekly basis to test things and get your engagement up. And then you can start monetizing via something like Patreon or sales options like that. Additions to email lists is important too, for later on down the list. Now, why this positions you as an author ahead of others is because it fosters community feedback. The community feedback, the interaction with our customers, with our readers, is super important, because those are votes of confidence. The more traffic, the more readers, the more interactions you get. It's a measurable trait. It's a measurable behavior, which means that your readers are basically voting for you every time they read your stuff. It turns into a higher recommendation, and you're effectively bypassing the saturation on Amazon, where anybody and everybody's throwing up their marginally edited pieces and parts. But that's beside the point. Something else we got to keep in mind is AI search optimization, which can get a little bit technical. We can break our brains going down that road, because we are trying to predict where things will go. The core shift that we're looking at is that AI search prioritizes snippable content, is the word that was used. Things like questions and answers, metadata, and personalized results are more what you're going to be getting out of Google AI overviews, for example. When you type in some kind of large content search and you're looking across a corporate safety question, and your corporate safety question is, what are the OSHA regulations for blah, 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 the AI snippet that comes out is going to show on top of all the other results. And that's if you're searching Google. Google is undercutting their own search results by placing AI snippets above it for mass market stuff. So it's like half of the above the fold section on your phone when you search something like that is going to be taken up by your AI snippet. And then below that, you're going to have the one or two sponsored ads, and then everything else is below the fold, which effectively does not exist. The snippable content is important, and that's going to probably change, probably be a little bit difficult because you're going to wind up butting heads with everybody else shooting for that same big stuff. On the other hand, if you find something that's a market you can corner, you've got a strong advantage there. First in the door, you become the confirmation bias that holds onto the position. Pretty valuable if you can get in early. Practical steps for this based upon my notes when I did my research pre-show. We want to generate keyword-rich titles. And the reason you want to do that is because the keyword-rich title is what's going to grab the AI's attention. The AI searches much deeper into the Google stack of organic searches than a regular search does. If you look at a Google organic search, you might have 2 or 3 actual organics show up on the first page, but again, all that's below the fold under multiple ads. So if you've got 2 or 3 organic searches, that's all that shows up on that first page before you have to click to go to the next Google page. By the same token, when you run an AI search, it's going to go down and you look at all of the references that your AI is using to produce that result for you. Chances are when you look up those sites on Google, those keywords for those sites are going to be many pages deep because the AI is going deeper into its search than Google is presenting to our squishy brain human eyes. So having a very descriptive title, keyword rich, an accurate description, and then making sure categories are correct so that you can be found by the AI tools is super important. What that's going to do is going to place you above everybody else who doesn't have that stuff. Keeping your book formatted, keeping your structures and elements straight, having your chapter summaries and so that they're searchable, all that's going to be super important as the AI searches become that much more evolved and detailed. Some tools for the authors might be Publish Drive for AI analytics on trends. Maybe a little bit more complicated than some people will be interested in doing, but something to keep in mind. Free SEO to refine your listings for genres like the science fiction and thriller genres. Typically, those might be a little bit harder to get your keywords for. It's one of those deals that's like you're creating a branded content with your title, and then that branded content needs to get found before it can get found kind of thing. On the other hand, if you're doing some kind of like technical journal and you're answering a specific question, a specific industry need, your title likely reflects your subject. As a subject matter expert producing a nonfiction work, you probably have a much easier time than somebody who's publishing something called, The Lord of the Rings. Nobody knows what The Lord of the Rings is. If it just gets dumped out into the internet, it's going to disappear. It's going to fall down the memory hole as opposed to the traditional publishing that could actually get that story out. This ensures that you're going to be discoverable by AI into the future. We need to keep our ear to the ground for changes in those systems as they grow and evolve. If you can match 20 to 30% of your readership through the AI searches, that's going to catapult you up through everything else. Because if you can get that chunk of AI referred readers into your orbit, what will end up happening is it's going to float your boat higher everywhere else. Because what did I say earlier? The traffic and eyeballs and the interaction with your material is super important. Because our materials and interactions with our material is super important, adding that flow of consistent eyeballs to our traffic is just going to snowball. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because the more we do well on our AI search, the more it refers over to our regular stuff. The more people see our regular stuff, more people are going to see our regular stuff on the regular stuff platform, which means that we're going to start ranking higher on more AI searches. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where everything gets bigger, better, stronger, faster. The more you can grab that one snippet, the more you can get that one AI referral, the better. And then growing social channels is important. At one point, it was listed that here in the research notes that Blue Sky had 29% of author adaptation by 2025. That seems a little bit optimistic given their growth trends lately, but look that up on your own. 15% of authors apparently have a YouTube channel, which is a little bit higher than I would anticipate, but okay. Apparently 15% of authors are promoting on Threads, while the usership on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it seems to be declining apparently. Again, research. This is what the numbers are saying from around the interwebs. Content creation ideas. Creating YouTube shorts and chapter previews is probably super helpful. One of the things I plan on doing is building out comic book style on some of my books. I plan on grabbing some chapters and playing with those, grab some interesting segments, and then turn the action scenes into maybe some of the classic anime and manga kind of animation. I think that'd be kind of cool. When you're creating shorts, you want to make sure that they're short and punchy. People can grab a hold of them and run. Beginner-friendly tactic is to schedule your posts weekly using free tools, and then track your engagement with the built-in tools in those analytics, and then collaborate across multiple platforms to get things interacted with. The strategic edge of doing this is that it's going to hit you into multiple channels. The more channels you have, the more points of light that you have scattered around in your night sky, those little points of light being references to you as an author, references to you as a publisher. And then you want to tile those back in and connect back into your main work. Because effectively what you want to do is, if you can get somebody into the social media sphere with your videos and your social channels, that person refers down to your main website where you keep all your stuff centralized. People browse around, visit your chapters, they read your stuff, then they turn around, they bounce off that, check out an article that you wrote on XYZ on LinkedIn or Twitter or one of your videos on YouTube, and then you turn around and then they take a referral back and come visit you from watching your video after they've seen your book about dogs or whatever it is. That's basically more customer interaction. That's more browser interaction with our site. The more interaction we get, the more traffic we get, the more interaction we get, the more clicks we get into and around inside of our site, the better off we're going to be. And the clicks and the browser behavior is the only way that the machine knows how to measure. It can't really tell if your content is any good. The machine relies on humans interacting with the site to make that measurement. The machine doesn't try to interpret our stuff on its own. Another idea is multi-format creation. By that I mean the AI enables low-cost production of audiobooks. If you want to take a chunk of your work, AI voice narrate it, put your voice in, narrate it for yourself, figure those tools out on your own. You can create interactive formats. You can do the online adventures. You can create websites where you're adventuring through choose your own adventure website kind of thing. That's an older style work from when I was young, but you can create the interactive website that browses around. It's a possibility. And then you can put your graphics and all kinds of cool stuff in there. You can make an animated, illustrated comic book, choose your own adventure kind of thing. Again, using online tools. If that's up your road, or if you want to throw money at the problem, you can hire artists and do as you please with that. Another note is that audiobook consumption is up 25% for mobile readers into 2025, which is insane. 25% growth year over year is what this research said. Converting chapters is fairly easy. You basically take your text, you drop it into the AI thing, and you let the AI read the thing back in your voice. Or you can have Chuck Norris do it, or whoever else's voice is available. Obviously, don't steal voices, don't make people do things that violate terms of service. Legality on your own. Distribution channels, you can upload to Spotify if you're an author. You can use YouTube, global reach. I have a YouTube channel, BitChute, and Rumble. I put out on all three of them. And it adapts your serials into format for enhanced PDFs and stuff like that for audio podcasts and stuff. Not really something I use, but it's a product that's available. And what that'll do is, by using multimodal content, more pieces that will get you indexed faster by the AI, because then they all connect together, they're all related. It's repurposing your content for greater use later on. And then finally, there's building our own platform. The concept of building our own website, while it sounds daunting, it is a requirement. Because if you don't own your own platform, you are going to get dictated by those who do. If you have 100% of your stuff on one particular platform, and that platform decides that they don't like you for some reason and they decide to ban you, you are gone. That means that 100% of your income disappears. That's why a lot of writers and artists are leery about large platforms like Amazon or Facebook or Patreon. So if you're on any of those platforms and suddenly for some reason you file a term of service by accident, or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, or they just decide to close down for some reason. I know people who had AOL emails, they're gone. So what'll end up happening is, should the platform ever change or shut down or decide they don't want to carry books anymore, or decide they want to go a different way, you're out of luck. And that's not a good place to be. Diversifying your platform and having your own central platform where you can control your message, it's really important. Because if you link out to a bunch of other larger platforms, great. Those other larger platforms are linking back to you. So you collect traffic there, they link back to your main website, great. If you're on that giant platform and it decides it doesn't like you anymore and it spits you out, you're going to be in trouble. And you don't want your full income tied up in that. You build your website, there's plenty of drag and drop kind of website builders. Own your audience. Own your audience via your own website and your own email chains. That will allow you to avoid dependence on other people's algorithms. By having your own email, You control your own customer base. You control that email list. That's your business right there. Your content is great, but having the ability to control your customer list is super important. And it converts like 40 times better than doing social media and stuff like that. So if you've got somebody else on your list, they've already decided that they like you. They've decided they like you enough to listen to you on your emails, which means that they are much more engaged than anybody listening to you on social media. Something to keep in mind. As far as setting up your website, there's lots of drag and drop website builders. I don't want to promote any one of them in specific. I use WordPress, but no affiliate or anything like that for there. If that's too much, you can pretty quickly do some of the other systems, and they just have integrations. And those integrations, you sign up, you drag and drop your website, you put your stuff together. You're creating books, so you probably know how to put content together. You put your content together for your page, you put your message together, and then boom, hey, sign up for the email list, and you put that little widget in the upper right-hand corner, sign up, join the fan club, blah, 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 whatever, get your free books, get your whatever your offer is. People sign up, now they're on your email list. And you can do all kinds of cool stuff like segmenting personalized emails, dividing stuff out, and segmenting based on interest, and making sure that your thriller audience is talking to your thriller email and your science fiction emails are talking to your science fiction readers. Make sure that your audiences are segmented. You don't want to be sending the wrong information to the wrong group of people. When you're publishing and promoting from the business side of things, you're going to want to have your own platform, and you're going to want to build out your presence across the larger platforms too, because what that's going to do is, as far as the AI is concerned, on a metagaming level, you're going to see more and more traffic coming from the AI over the near future. You need to get in the door now as soon as you possibly can, because the faster you get through the door, the faster you get those AI search snippets in place, and the more of them you have, the higher likelihood you will have greater success later on, because the AI and because the search engines naturally support the confirmation bias. Once they've got you, they are going to continue to feed, because it's just the way the machines are written. Somebody may be better, but because they're not doing the right thing to support their art, I'm going to pause that little line and be polite using a quote. Robert Kiyosaki said about the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, "I don't have the best written book. I have the best selling book," which is important, because you may write better than anybody else in the world, but until we can sell and move that book and have that conversation and get people through the door, you ain't going to pay for it. We need to keep our sales in mind. That's why the business of putting our promotions and publishing is so important. You have a great day.